Hiya friends! We're back with Boozy Builds. You might be curious about the giant flaming altar right here. Well, I was talking with Clover, and she doesn't like to talk about it, right? But we all know she's a witch. So we were talking since it was just the spring equinox, like maybe Mother Nature needs a special area on our island. So we decided to call it Mother Nature's Playhouse. That makes it sound playful, right? So what I envisioned was some kind of a giant compass rose where each of the points represented one of the seasons. So I wanted it to be kind of a gathering place. Obviously, Clover has it reserved every other Thursday for her coven. But besides that, a gathering place where you can come, you can sit in your favorite season, maybe your favorite direction, I don't know. But there's plenty of seats for anyone who wants to come to be a part of these celebrations. I was actually talking with Boozy Jr. about this spring equinox, and he's like, oh, so what you're saying is it's like just the most average day of the year? No. If you know me, you know I love even Stevens, so I'm a big fan of the spring equinox. So the spring and the fall obviously would be my favorite sections here, but I digress. A large arena with the different points of the compass. So this would be north. North would represent the winter solstice. And I wanted them to be very distinct. So north, I'm using blue for the lettering. Later, I'm going to bring in blue in the fruit. I want a different kind of wood at each of the points. I want a different kind of flower. Just a different feel in each corner of the compass. So that's what's happening here. I'm just trying to kind of lay out the 4 points. This was actually the easiest part, if you can imagine. Decorating 4 completely different areas was a challenge. And again, if you know me, you know that I always have like an idea kind of bouncing around in my mind, but I don't necessarily have it written down anywhere. So it just evolves as I go along. I usually don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I know what I want to be doing, but I don't necessarily know how I'm going to do it. So here I started with the altar in the middle. I say altar. That's the only word that comes to mind right now. So the altar in the middle and the mushroom path for the pointing towards the different directions. I also wanted to incorporate the mushroom path, the honeycomb path, because nature. But then the marble kind of made it more elevated because Mother Nature deserves something fancy. I can imagine that Mother Nature might be bougie sometimes, in my mind at least. So we've made it to the southern point, and you can see I'm using red for south, which is also going to be the summer solstice. West would represent the spring equinox. I did that one in green. And you'll see that east, representing the fall equinox, is going to be done in orange. They all have their own colors. They have their own statues. I wanted each one to have its own personality. I think that was accomplished. Said that backwards, didn't I? East is spring with the green. West is fall with the orange. You know what? Don't listen to me. So I hadn't thought about how I was going to divide the different quadrants. Hadn't even occurred to me at this point. I just knew I wanted to do the compass. Didn't think how I was going to fill in the middles. I did know I wanted to use the yellow with the honeycomb. And I knew I wanted to use the different kinds of grass, one for each of the seasons. I decided to make it a big square. Again, the Playhouse, a big square house. And then it was kind of hit or miss. This is like, it's easy to do the build, right? Like, okay, I can build a compass, but then it's all the little things, right? So like this path, should I separate the quadrants with the honeycomb path? You know, should we put a fence all the way around it? Those kinds of things. You just have to try them. If you hate it, take it apart. If you love it, keep it. At this point, it was a lot of that. It was a lot of trial and error. What do I love? What do I hate? How do I want to block this off? Are crocodiles going to eat me? You know, it's these things that you have to think about when you're building in Dinkum. I do really love these vine walls. They give you just enough privacy, but it's not completely blocked off from the rest of the world. Now I'm starting to think about, okay, I'm using the palm trees here, so palm wood to me makes sense. So you'll notice that obviously when I'm using the gumwood trees, I'm going to be using gumwood. When I'm using the pine trees, I'm going to be using the hardwood. The trick was spring because I was using a picket fence. But the jacaranda trees, obviously, with, you know, and again, the lights, we have street lamps. It all worked out. There was enough things. What am I saying? There were 4 of each of the different elements I wanted to use. I hadn't thought that through to start with either. Would there be 4 different kinds of everything for when I built this? And spoiler, yes, there are. This part was kind of fun, actually. So as I'm laying down the grass, Anyone who's done this knows it's just tedious. But I'm trying to think, okay, what else would go with these different seasons? So, of course, there needed to be a water feature. It's Mother Nature. Of course, there needed to be bushes to go with the trees. It's nature. So I did find a tropical bush, a fern, a bottle brush, and a wattle flower. Those were the 4 bushes I used with the different things. So I'm telling you, there are 4 of everything that you need. And then it was just, what kind of decorations? Well, again, nature, fountains, bird feeders, what kind of flowers. It was really fun because I don't necessarily utilize all of the flowers, flower boxes, different landscaping, just decorations that were given. And I was really stretched to use them this time to go through and find everything that I could. I also had a lot of fun trying to decide which flowers I was going to do with which season and the different combination of flowers. So with winter, you'll see that I went with the common bluebell and one of my very favorites, the flannel flowers. I was able to use birds of paradise. I was able to use common heath. I could use the daisies. This was one of those builds where you don't usually get to use all of those things, all of the trees, all of the flowers. And I did get, that was kind of cool. I did get to do that this time. All the different woods, you usually pick one and go with that, but I got to use everything. And that was kind of freeing, actually. But once I figured out what worked for one thing, it was fairly easy to go through and make that work for the other 3. So once I found the layout that I liked, with the flower pots, with the benches, with the placement of the bushes, as soon as I figured out what kind of flowers I wanted, it was very easy. And tell you what, these flower pots, I don't use these enough. They're very cool. I don't know why I don't use them. Maybe I just don't think about it. I don't know. But I was glad to be able to use them here. The dreaded terraforming. Yeah, when there's only 3 kinds of grass seeds, you have to get creative. But it seemed kind of obvious when I was using the coconut trees that, yeah, the ground could just be sand and it wouldn't have to have a grass. Whew, but goodness knows, shoveling, well, I don't even have to tell you, you know, the struggle is real. You can see I got bored and had to do other things besides just shovel sand. It's okay to break up the chores with fun stuff. You can see at this point, ma'am, I'm just an old pro, putting things down left and right. Like I said, once I knew what I was doing, I just kind of stamped it in all the different corners using the specific grass and trees and flowers that were for that season. It took me about 3 days into the build before I thought, hey, I should totally put some trees against the back fence since it's Mother Nature's playhouse. Obviously, it takes staring at it for a while to really get the feel. And then like here, I'm like, okay, what is it missing? What is it missing? Oh, yeah, fruit trees, bee houses. I mean, there are things that obviously it needs. Mother Nature would be appalled if she knew I had forgotten those things. Don't tell Clover for sure. So a little flyover to see what it was we needed, what was missing. I also decided to add some lights to the compass points so it was more visible at night. Here we are, the northern point of our compass rose, and it looks gorgeous. So we have kangaroos in our winter area with the bottle brush, the pine trees, the flannel flowers, the common blues. We're also using just the plain grass seeds with the hardwood Guangdong trees in the back. I try to match the fruit to the color of the letter up top. Blue letter, blue guandongs. Coming around to the east, which is spring, jacarandas, obviously, common heathers, orchids. We've got the diggos, picket fence, got the tropic bush, the bush limes, green to go with the green letter, the tropical seed, and the street lights. Also the iron benches. Takes us into summer with the sand and the palm wood and the coconut trees and the apple trees. We've got birds of paradise. We have those jackaroo plants that I love, love, love. Red for summer and south, I guess. Bush devils is the animal for this quadrant. For the bush, we use the fern. I just love how they do have their own personality, like it's a whole separate thing. I mean, Mother Nature, I think, would be proud. Swing around to fall. We have the gumwood trees, the banana trees, obviously gumwood. We've got our daisies and our lizards for our animal. We didn't have orange fruits, so we used the bananas. I thought it was close enough. It works for me. It'll work for Mother Nature. She'll be happy. And then we have Mother Nature's altar right here in the middle with the weather vane. And man, if you're impressed by this, hold on to your hats for our view at night. Are you ready for this? Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. Now, I haven't shown Clover this yet, but I think it would get her stamp of approval. Mother Nature's Playhouse. Beautiful.